over the long haul. I'm for reindustrialization, but boy, it's a tough thing to do. You have to do it carefully.
I think Biden's industrialization strategy was to industrialize more government. I mean, a lot of jobs created in government during Biden.
America brought back a chips industry in 18 months.
And what was the announcement this week? That a chips maker from Taiwan is opening up a massive operation in Arizona.
In this video, Scott Jennings faces off against a panel of his co-workers at CNN. Scott Jennings and the panel discuss multiple topics, including Trump's use of tariffs and the activity of Doge. With that, let's watch Scott Jennings do what he does best, make a CNN panel look like a bunch of a-holes.
I actually don't think he's looking for the long term. I think tariffs need to be used in a really, really surgical way to create space for industry to happen in the U.S., but that requires an industrial strategy. We haven't seen any coherent industrial strategy from this administration yet. Now, you know, like him or not, Biden had an industrial strategy. It's not just about tariffs. You've got to convince business, okay, what's the competitive strategy here? How are we going to train workers? How are we going to work with allies? You have to build capacity. Is Europe going to want to be in supply chain alliances with us? Maybe not, because, you know, we're talking about slapping tariffs on Europe too. I just don't buy it over the long haul. I'm for reindustrialization, but boy, it's a tough thing to do. You have to do it carefully.
I think Biden's industrialization strategy was to industrialize more government. I mean, a lot of jobs created in government during Biden.
America brought back a chips industry in 18 months.
And what was the announcement this week? That a chips maker from Taiwan is opening up a massive operation in Arizona. What was the auto industry announcement this week? That Honda is putting a plant in Indiana. $1.7 trillion already in announcements from this administration on investing in the U.S. economy. I agree with you, what you said earlier, reindustrializing, juicing American manufacturing. It is a worthy goal, and that is the mission of the tariff plan. He strongly believes in tariffs, and if they're slapped on over a long period of time, we'll see if he's right. But the governor...
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
One tool.
The governor is exactly right about
you guys are defending a tariff strategy that's actually not being put in place.
It's not a strategy.
The tariff strategy that you're describing is Trump saying, I believe in tariffs, carte blanche, let's just put them on there. But what he's actually doing is saying tariffs one day, no tariffs the next day, tariffs one day, no tariffs the next day.
He's trying
if he really believed in what you were saying, he would just stick with his strategy, and he's not doing it.
He's trying to find the sweet spot with countries and industries. And he said today there will be no more extensions past April.
I just have to say,
I'm not even seeing that happening. I mean, there's he didn't say, okay, we're going to take tariffs off China and Mexico for these specific things. He said, we're going to just do another month.
Yeah, it's a haphazard approach. I want to say that I think there's a lot of things at this table that people agree with. I don't want fentanyl in this country. I want it to be stopped. I don't take it lightly if one person dies from it or another person dies from it if it comes out from the country. But I also think that when you are applying and you're looking at the totality of circumstances, you can't just swing a pendulum back and forth with the American economy. I understand you all are saying it's a strategy, but what it feels like, and we talked a lot about feelings before November 5th, that the people felt like the economy wasn't good, even though the numbers said it was good. What we're saying is that people are feeling like the economy still is good, and the numbers are not good because the Dow is going down, because you slap a tariff on in 1 hour and 18 hours it's later. That feels unstable. It doesn't feel like a strategy. I hear you. You all think there's something there, but I think in short order, the American people are going to say, and to just callously say, people are going to lose their jobs. I didn't ever hear that before November.
She's right. You do hear with this administration that people are going to lose their jobs. What she fails to mention is those people that will be losing their jobs are government workers that don't do anything or don't really contribute to anything and just waste taxpayers' money. That's a good thing, ma'am. Now, this lady said prior to the election, it was about how people felt about the economy, but the numbers were getting better. You all at CNN and other left-wing liberal media outlets tried to tell the American people they weren't feeling that because on paper, you saw some numbers improving. So you were essentially saying the American people are stupid and their feelings aren't valid. But now that you're on the other side of it, the feelings do matter to you. Got it. Donald Trump has been in office for how long? I don't know, a month and a half maybe? How about you give him some time to dig us out of the ridiculous hole that we were dug into by Joe Biden. And yes, we do want to industrialize this country or reindustrialize this country and incentivize people to create products in the United States. Tariffs are one way of doing that. And frankly, I hope it doesn't get that bad, but there will be some growing pains when you're making major changes and trying to achieve certain things with the U.S. economy. And I've seen Trump do it before, and I believe that he will do it again. There will be a lot of jobs created under his administration. And guess what? This time, the majority of them won't be government jobs because he'll have cleaned house by then. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Fifth, people are going to lose their jobs. Americans, are you okay with losing your jobs? You be the judge.
Bill Clinton said it really loud in the early 90s when he said we're going to get rid of 13% of the workforce.
I was 8 years old, so I can't really say much
that's a
about
reality.
that. But I'm talking about now that I'm an adult.
Let me just play what Republicans in Congress are hearing from their districts and what they're saying about all of this.
Almost every industry in Kentucky has come to me and said it will hurt our industry and push up prices of homes, cars. And so I'm going to continue to argue against tariffs.
Should he back off of it if it starts to hurt your constituents?
When we start losing, you back off. You know, there's such a thing as a strategic retreat. At the end of the day, I think we have more leverage than any other nation, but we got to be smart, and we don't have all the leverage.
Maybe Tom Tillis is right. This was a retreat. I mean, he backed off. He absolutely backed off.
There is no question that inside the Republican Party, there is some resistance to this. I mean, that's just a fact. And there are issues, particularly on trade issues, where Trump is not an orthodox conservative. He didn't run on it. He has been very open about it. Some of the party supports him, some don't. In my home state of Kentucky, both Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul, not often aligned on issues, are both against it. You hear this from some corners of the party, but Donald Trump believes in this. And
First of all, I don't think Donald Trump's retreated at all with his tariffs. If he's put pause on things, it's because the countries he's working with have capitulated in some way. The United States, as someone mentioned, has more leverage than any other nation in the world. People want to work with us and trade with us. But why should we be the doormat for other countries to tariff the shit out of us? Shouldn't the country with the most leverage be dictating the terms of trade or anything else between countries? Donald Trump wants a strong United States. There are things, unfortunately, that are going to be a shock to the system of our country, of the citizens of our country, but definitely to countries around the world. Because the previous administration set a precedent where need money, call the United States. Need something from the United States, walk all over them and you'll get it. That ain't happening anymore. We're putting our country first. There will be an adjustment period, but until I see some real consequences and ramifications of Donald Trump's trade policies, tariffs, etc., I'm going to continue to support his decisions. But like I said, if those policies start in the long term hurting Americans, I'll be the first one to criticize them. But why don't you all just let the man work and do your job and sit there and complain from the sidelines? Let's wrap up the video.
Suspect there is going to be some tariff strategy over the entire first term. And
But Scott, I hear what you're saying Trump believes in, but do you think it's a good idea?
Right. Yeah, that's my question.
I trust the president to deal with Canada and Mexico.
Okay, but do you
on
think
the
it's a
issues
good
that he thinks
idea
are
to
important.
slap 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and then take them off and then put them back on and take them off?
And what happens in a year? What happens in a year? I'm curious
Everybody yell at me, then I'll
I'm
answer.
not yelling at you. Cut it out. Don't do that to me.
Everybody
Don't
go,
do
and then I'll answer one
Don't
at a
do
time.
it, Scott. Don't do it.
I'm gonna let Ashley handle
Don't do it. As your colleague and friend that we have these debates because we actually care about this country, I am curious. Okay, if this is the strategy, but we've been saying it's only 40 days. Well, what happens when it's 40 months? Like, what happens when the strategy hasn't paid off? When is the intervention point?
That's your prediction. Well, the interventions in American politics are elections. I mean, his whole economic strategy is not just tariffs. You've got the Congress working on the reconciliation package. You are going to try to see some cuts in federal spending, make permanent the tax cuts, changes in energy policy. In his mind, it all works together. And you know when you get a report card? At the next election.
Can I ask you, Ronna?
I actually think those are fair questions from the typically opposition voices on the panel there. When do we intervene or when do we stop with this strategy if it's hurting Americans? Well, when it starts permanently hurting Americans or American business or America's interests, then you reevaluate. Again, Donald Trump's a businessman, and I have no doubt that he has pivoted on strategies in the past. But we're not even close to that point yet. Scott's right. Donald Trump and the Republicans will be judged in all the elections that take place during Donald Trump's term. and the next presidential election, but let's see how it pans out before we start complaining about it. But we want to hear from you. What do you all think about Donald Trump's trade strategy, his use of tariffs, and his desire to reinvigorate industrialization in the United States? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.